And joining us on the line, great to be chatting to him again. We've got Benny Allen. G'day, Benny. How you doing today?
I'm very well, thanks, Clayton. Thanks so much for having a chat with me.
It is always a pleasure. I love having a chat with you and talking about all different things. I just know I've got to be careful because I have a feeling I might end up on one of your songs one day.
Look, that is always the danger when you talk to a songwriter, mate, that they take the little bits you say and it ends up going into the stories that we put out into the world, that's for sure.
Well, when I think about it, it's not so bad. I mean, if you're a comedian, that could be a bit sort of, it might not be as much fun, but as a songwriter, you never know. It could be a number one hit and then I can come a knocking. Hey, yeah.
That's it, you go, yeah, I want my share, Benny, I want my share.
Well, it's good to have a bit of a laugh about it because you never know. But anyway, mate, how are you going at the moment in this COVID world that we've got? Are you keeping nice and safe? Things doing okay for you?
Look, I'm going all right, mate. I'm keeping myself busy from a music point of view. I'm over in the outskirts of Melbourne, so we're still in lockdown, and it's over 200 days in the last 18 months now. But I just sort of go along with it. I'm fortunate that I've got a day job as a tradesman that keeps me sort of busy and feeds the family, but the music side of things, I just sort of concentrate on what I can do rather than what I can't do. And so what I can do is I can still write songs and I can still do some recording in a little home studio that I've set myself up here and send things up to Michael Carpenter up in Sydney so that he can do the rest of the production. And because of that, we've been able to still keep putting music out into the world this year. So that part of it's been all right for me.
Yes, it's amazing how we can use the technology to our advantage and still be able to get things out remotely, which I think is one of the things that so many different artists that I've spoken to never ever thought that they would need to learn, but they've had to learn it, and some are embracing it. And there's even a couple that are now sort of like, this is the only way I want to do it. So are you in that category, or you'd rather get in the studio with Michael and record the song that way?
Look, I reckon I'm probably sitting on the fence. I've really embraced it, and in terms of the efficiency, and look, it's actually a little bit cheaper for me as well when I'm able to, do the, whether it's piano or guitar work that I'm doing on a song, and the vocal down here, and send it up to Michael. There's a bit of time, a lot of time saving of driving from Melbourne to Sydney, but there's still nothing like the feeling of being in the studio. There's a buzz that goes with that, and that side of it I definitely do miss. So I think once we're able to travel again and I'm able to get in the studio with a producer, I'm going to enjoy that process again, because I think there's an aspect of the creativity that just sort of blossoms when you're in the studio. Yeah,
it's that in the moment thing where you're fiddling around and you make a sound and they go, hang on, what was that? What did you just do? And then you go, well, I was doing this, and you never know where things are going to go. But when you're doing it, and even though it is, as you said, efficient and cheap, and that can be a good thing, especially in current circumstances, I think it's that spark, that moment of genius, if you like, that it doesn't get covered in any other way.
Oh, absolutely. I think spontaneity is a good word for it, where, you can have that little bit where one of you can just go, oh, hang on a second, I've just had a thought. Whereas if you then have to put that thought into an email to send back down to someone who then checks on it 3 hours later and goes, all right, let's see if I'm interpreting what you're saying. Whereas otherwise, like you say, it could just be a little 5-second blip and it takes things in a completely different direction. I'm pretty fortunate with Michael Carpenter. We've got a very similar sort of, background of the music that we grew up listening to. So, and we communicate well with each other. So, we've been able to sort of take the songs in a direction that I'm really happy with each time. And this new song's no different.
Don't you mean we're just old fellas that love our music and have got a big, long memory about different songs? And then I think that's what I got there when you said that.
There is an aspect to that, mate, where when I talk to, I do a little bit of mentoring, not as much as I'd like, but a little bit of mentoring with up-and-coming songwriters. And one of the things I say to them is, firstly, to read as much as they can, whether it's fiction, non-fiction, anything like that. But, you learn about how people use a turn of phrase and that sort of thing from reading books. But the other one is just to listen to music, listen to as many, genres and different artists as you can, particularly the ones that are lyrically very good, and because you just sort of learn how things go together. And I think there's an aspect of osmosis to it where it sort of soaks into your bones, so that, you know, you're not having to do so much of the theory of songwriting then, that it just sort of comes out of you.
I think and I applaud you for saying that, to read, and I think every songwriter needs to read, but reading is almost becoming a lost art, people buying books. I know we still do it, there are those of us that do, but it just seems not to be as... I'm not finding that I'm talking to people about the books they're reading like I used to, say, 20 years ago.
And look, I'm as guilty of that as anyone, mate. I sit there and tell my kids that they need to read more, but at the same time, I know nowadays, in terms of picking up a book, I really don't do it as often as I used to. Whereas, you know, when I was younger, you know, it was almost prolific. You always had a book sitting next to you on the coffee table or on the bedside table or that sort of thing. Whereas now, I think there's an aspect of, particularly if you're wanting to know how to do something, you do the short read. You know, you quickly Google it and you read about it, or you find a YouTube video or something like that. You don't end up, you know, picking up a book as often as you used to.
Or you just wait for the movie to come out, and then you hey, yeah. Now, speaking of not being good at something and finding out how to do it and to learn how to do it, that's more or less the whole premise of your current song, Sing a Song for Me.
It really is, isn't it? I wrote this song after having a few chats to mates and that sort of thing, where I had a couple of people trot out a line along the lines of, but I can't write a song, all right? Yeah. But I can't write a love song, and these sort of conversations with people. And I thought, you know, what do you do if you can't write a love song? How do you get someone to fall in love with you then? Because that's sort of been an aspect of who I am for quite a lot of years now, where you can always put something in words and put it to music, and I found it's quite a good way to win a lady's heart. And thought, you know, what do other people have to do? And so that's what this song ended up being, was sort of a story along that line of, you know, how do you get someone to fall in love with you if you can't write a love song? And I think you've just got to hope that they're also holding a candle for you as well, and that they might sing a song for you.
That's always the tricky thing, to know that they, and it probably makes a song easier knowing that they do have that candle for you. Otherwise, it could be a song that might be a bit of a flop otherwise.
No, that's it. I still took it in that positive direction. And, you know, whether it's, you know, seen through the prism that I've described there, or I've had a few other people that have sort of talked about it from, you know, it almost sounds like it's a breakup or a relationship that didn't quite work, but that, you know, one party still wants, you know, things to get fixed up, and, you know, still wants to be able to work it out. And I think we all want that sometimes, where, you know, you just want other people in your life to, you know, just show that they care about you as well.
Yeah, and you care about them, and one way of doing it is obviously in a song. And I was going to say, I don't think I've got the skill and the talent for it, unlike you, Benny. But you're giving me hope that maybe I could do it. Maybe if I applied myself and I got out the book, the thesaurus, and that for rhyming and all that, I might be able to come up with something.
Well, the beauty of this is, mate, is that you don't need to now. I've done it for you, so you just play them the song, mate.
Well, there you go. That saves me a lot of drama. And one thing I want to, with the song, and that this, it could have been, well, you've got the piano and all that, and it's really, as I see in my notes here, it says it's a power ballad, which I thought, oh, okay. So it could have been a real soft, gentle, guitar-y, folky sort of song, but you've taken it in a different direction. So was that down to you or down to Michael?
I'd been struggling for a little while with this song as to how I was going to present it, and it's something that I really try to do with the music that I write, is try and find a little subgenre that's going to do the best justice to the story. And I'd been playing this one largely on guitar and doing it as sort of this finger-picking, folky thing, and performing it live that way, and it, you know, been received well and all that sort of thing. And I reckon it was probably only a couple of days before I was sending things across to Michael that I was, you know, waiting for a pot to boil on the stove, and I sat down at the piano and played it on the piano for the first time in probably 2 years, and just went, oh, I like that.
Yep.
And so I ended up sending sort of this hybrid version to Michael and said, look, I'm really not 100% sure where I want it to go. And he came back to me and said, look, we can do one or two things. I reckon, we could do this folky thing where I might do some brushes on the drums and, that sort of thing. Or, we could turn it into a power ballad. And as soon as he said that, I just went, yes, that's what I'm thinking of, sort of the old Meatloaf and Jim Steinman partnership of that sort of really big, ending and all that sort of stuff was what I was really, excited about, and just thought, yeah, that's going to fit, and that's exactly what it did. The song just builds so nicely throughout. It just builds to this really big crescendo at the end, and we've managed to do it without having to go down the Meatloaf path of turning it into a 7 to 10 minute extravaganza either.
But you could have, just think, you could easily have gone that way, but no, it didn't. It kept it to a nice, it feels good, and it does make you feel that about someone special, and that you can sort of tell them how you feel about them, and you can just say, hey, this is how I feel. It's in a song already done for me.
I find even, as a songwriter and as the person that performs it and that sort of thing, I still listen to this recording, and it still takes me on a journey. Yeah. I can just, at the end when it finishes, there's an aspect of me sort of letting out a breath of just going, oh wow, I've just been sort of taken on this journey and had this big build up, and now I get to just sort of let go after that. And I always thought that was something a bit special, that if I can make myself a little bit excited about what I'm putting out there, then hopefully I can get other people to as well.
Well, you're a songwriter, you're a storyteller, so that's what you're doing. You're taking us on this journey, so that's what we enjoy. But what other sort of journeys are you going to be taking us on as we, in the next few months, Benny? What sort of stories have you got bubbling away that you want to share with us?
Look, I'm always chipping away at different things, Clayton, but I tend to not push them too hard.
Yep.
I find I really enjoyed the songwriting process, and I don't want to turn it into being hard work too much by forcing myself to write. There's a school of songwriters that run on the theory of you've got to write a song a day and these sort of things, and I just don't want to do that. I don't want it to be that much hard work and take the fun out of it. I really enjoy just sort of being organic with it, and when an idea comes to me, you don't always have time, so make a note, or nowadays you can sing into your phone and all sorts of wonderful things and come back to it later. And I've got a few little things I'm playing with. I still love the bush ballad format.
Yep.
Of storytelling there, and so I've got a couple of works that I'm working on just to do with telling stories about Australia. Look, the love ballads and things like that, I think that's a big part of who I am. And anyway, so there'll be some stories about, unrequited love and all that sort of stuff that come up in future too.
Well, with bush ballads, they often depict the times and the stories of what people are going through. So that leads me to think that could Benny soon be working on a COVID-type bush ballad?
I honestly don't think so. And it's just that I know this is a very hard time for everyone around the country and around the world as well, but it's not something that I'm trying to focus on too much, Clayton. I'm very much a glass half full sort of person, and I try and focus on the positives that are going on around me. So at the moment, I guess that's my coping mechanism and that sort of thing as well, is not so much, pushing things down. I acknowledge what's going on around me, but I really do try and just concentrate on the good things that are around me and the things that I can do, so that the world doesn't get too much on top of me. And so I can't see myself going down that path at least for a while, until we're out the back end of this. And at that point maybe there might be some inspiration that comes from it, but it's not the path that I'm looking at the moment, that's for sure. Yeah,
when it's in the rearview mirror and then you're in a small town and you bump into someone and they tell you a tale of how they cope through it and how positive and happy they are, and suddenly it's inspiration and it's in one of your songs. I can see that happening.
Look, I think you're right. I think it's that aspect of potentially getting someone else's story that touches me and go, you know what, this is a story that needs to be told. That's sort of the direction. I don't think it's going to be as self-reflective as this new song is, where it's Sing a Song for Me. There's an aspect of that yes, that's coming from inside me and from the people directly around me. But I think something along that line needs to be someone else's story, because I'm fortunate that while I found it a bit tough like everybody, I'm definitely not someone that's really struggling at this time.
Well, you're going to meet someone, and that's what's going to happen. And little do they know that they're just telling you that they're giving you lines for a song, as I've experienced earlier in our conversation when we wrote that singing a million-seller song, and I'm still waiting for my royalty check. So, but there you go.
I reckon that's the title of it, mate. I'm still waiting for my royalty check.
I've done it. I've did it again. So that could be the title of the album too.
That's it, mate. That's it. Unfortunately, I'm an Australian musician, mate, so we don't make a lot of money, so your cut's not going to be huge.
It's going to be half of nothing. Yeah, I understand that, yeah. I get that. Well, if we want to know what's going on with you, if you've got any shows or anything coming up, we can check your website, bennyallen.rocks, and also click on the store tab, folks, and you can find some, he's got a vinyl album on there. Benny, you've got a vinyl record out. Wow, you're becoming new school instead of old school. There's stubby holders, there's T-shirts, including an incredible pink-looking one too, which, you can find out all these things by going to Benny's website, bennyallen.rocks, and click on the store tab, but there's also the shows tab as well for upcoming shows. Hopefully you'll be back on the road soon, as we're finding out things are starting to ease, so hopefully you've got some shows going on and we can get out and see, and you can perform this song for people wherever you might be heading out to, so hopefully that'll happen soon for you.
Oh, look, that's what we all hope for, mate, is that we can all start getting out into the world and start going to shows, whether we're playing them or whether we're just seeing other people perform. I think it's going to be a wonderful thing. What
was the first record you ever bought?
First record I ever bought? Honestly, mate, I'm showing my age here. I didn't actually buy a record, I don't think. But I was just saying something recently. One of the first cassette tapes that I reckon I bought was actually the Baby Animals debut album, which is just celebrating, I think it's its 30th anniversary this week.
Well, there you go.
So the young Benny was quite into grunge and Australian rock and that sort of thing, and as I said earlier, I really think people should just listen to as many different varieties of music as they can, because there's something in all of them.
There absolutely is, and that's what I enjoy with what I do, getting to hear such a variety of music. There's some great music out there, and we try and bring it to folks right across the Flow Network, like we do with your current song, which we've got here for everyone to have a listen to. Benny, thank you so much for spending some time with us today on Flow. Love having a chat with you. We've got to do it again soon, and I'm sure we will. But please stay nice and safe. Hopefully we'll get out to see you at a show soon. We've got your song here ready to go. If you could please introduce it for all our Flow listeners.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, mate. This is Benny Allen on Flow FM, and you're listening to my new single, Sing a Song for Me.
Toys, balloons, and hiding places, a time so long ago. Memories are falling down as I began to grow. Well, nothing ever held me back except for that time I fell for you. While some people call them good old days, it's more a lie now than the truth. And I could never write your song, because I never had it in me. But if you're gonna sing a love song, sing a song for me. We were like two flying kites, entangled in the wind, always taking one step forward, then two back again. I tried to write a love song that would end our broken ways, days. And I could never write your song because I never had it in me. But if you're gonna sing a love song, sing a song for me. Hurricanes and tidal waves as the earth it slowly spins. Crack and roll the thunder as the night comes to an end. And I could never write your song because I never had it in me. But if you're gonna sing a love song, sing a song for me. No, I could never write your song because I never had it in me. But if you're gonna sing a love song, sing a song for me.